Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be making an updated Celestial Hypogean priority guide now that Gunnar has had some testing, and of course I think everyone is interested to hear about Gunnar. But we do have 4 different categories as you guys can see here, and I have prioritized the Dream Realm category at the top because for most players that is the hero they're investing in to rank higher and earn more rewards, as well as do well in other game modes, because that is the other thing. A hero, even if they are, for example, in the Dream Realm category, they could have usage in other game modes, but if they have meta Dream Realm usage, I did put them here so you can see kind of like a priority of left to right. Left is the most priority top and right is the least priority when it comes to any of these different categories. Okay, with all of that covered, we're gonna go ahead and jump into Dream Realm. Now Dream Realm, the overall top Celestial Hypogean everyone should be getting is the twins, because they have been out for over a year now and they have not gone anywhere. They're in the top team for almost every Dream Realm boss, and also they have their AFK stage usage, PvP usage. They're just insanely powerful duo of support heroes, and I just cannot even see how they will get power crept in the future. Of course, everyone has their eyes on Contess to see if she is going to live up to the name of a Celestial Hypogean support, but we will have to obviously wait until that actually is released. For right now, twins are on top, and probably I think they will remain on top for some time in the future. Now, I've actually put Gunnar as number 2. This may be a bold prediction, however, already from his usage in pre-Endless Dream Realm, creating some big score gaps compared to the no Gunnar squads, it definitely leads me to believe that Gunnar is not only a must pull, but also very high priority for you to build on your account. The thing about Gunnar is he has in some ways taken the place of Reinier in pre-Endless. Reinier was the top of pre-Endless Dream Realm for some time. This phase and a bit earlier, maybe last season, he was slightly getting phased out with all of the other good options we had, but really now with Gunnar is kind of taking that top spot for pre-Endless Dream Realm, because Gunnar's own damage is also really high. Not only does he massively buff the ally behind him, he also has high damage contribution, which is very meaningful for pre-Endless Dream Realm. So Gunnar overall I think is here to stay. He's a great pre-Endless Dream Realm supporter and also sub DPS, and I think that in Endless he's also going to have decent usage. Now the only caveat about Gunnar is he requires very unique heroes to run with him. For example, if you guys have looked at the top teams recently, it's basically Gunnar and Sylvan. And if you don't have Sylvan built, then Gunnar isn't going to be that great for you. That you can sometimes run him with Mehira, but you're not going to be getting as high or top scores. So this is the thing about Gunnar, which is awkward, and I understand that. However, if you are a new player right now, your Sylvan is going to be your number 1 priority on the A level wish list. And like, for example, Cassidy also is going to be a high priority on the S level wish list because they do so well together. And for pre-Endless Dream Realm, Gunnar, Cassidy, Sylvan, they're like in the top team for 3 different bosses, which is crazy. Blightshroom was a very unique boss where actually Indris was the top damager along with Gunnar, which I know I can't recommend people to be building Indris just for that usage. However, yeah, so this is really the overall awkward thing about Gunnar. However, if you want to go for the top teams for pre-Endless Dream Realm, you have to build Gunnar. And like, the thing is, Reinier was already on the verge of being power crept, and I would just say if you're a newer player now, you go all in on Gunnar and just try to skip Reinier. Honestly, I know Reinier always has some usage. He has great synergy with like teleporting a Mehira into the hunting circle of Corden, but I think those days are kind of passing us now with Gunnar Sylvan combos kind of stealing the show, and the Corden Reinier swaps and Mehira swap into a Corden circle is not as strong. So that's why I rate Gunnar so highly. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section, but I am fairly confident about this rating, and but it may be a bold prediction again. Moving on, Aliceth. Aliceth also surprisingly, she was very dominant in Endless of Dream Realm previous season, and I think she's going to be just as dominant or maybe even more dominant in Endless of this season. The reason for that is she also does really well with Gunnar. You know, you can have Sylvan being buffed by Gunnar, and then also have Aliceth buffing Sylvan. It's a great duo, and basically for early endless Dream Realm on VN server and even on Pioneer server, the basically swap that you make is rather than having Cassio on the team with Sylvan, you have Aliceth instead to buff up the Sylvan. And so like Gunnar, Aliceth, Sylvan squads, they're going to be probably the main teams for Phase 2. And for Phase 3 of Dream Realm, deep into endless, Aliceth Gala teams are probably also going to be on top. I don't know if Gunnar is going to be there, and of course, like when you're talking about should you invest into Gunnar, you need, if you invest right now, we know it's pre-endless usage, but it's endless usage and deep endless usage is not proven yet. So if you want to be sure about that before you make an investment, you can wait for that. And I don't really honestly know if Gunnar is going to be meta for endless or not, and we'll have to wait and see about that, but I think he definitely should have some usage. Moving on to Reinier. So Reinier, the luxury of him, you only have to get him to Mythic Plus and he gets his value, so he's a lower investment compared to every other Celestial Hypogean. However, the problem is he is not really in many top teams. Now that Gunnar is out, and if you have Sylvan, Cassidy, and Gunnar, you're not going to be using Reinier in probably any Dream on Boss top team for pre-endless, and that's sad, right? Because Reinier was in the top. He was in the top team for like 4 usually out of the 8 Dream on bosses, even in the previous season. But this season, Gunnar is kind of like kicking him out of even that. Reinier is still a great option. He's still a solid hero. But like the other thing why I'm ranking him lower is that Reinier has been on top for 2 years, and as the time goes on, a hero gets weaker and weaker because the other heroes become stronger and stronger. This is a state of power creep, and so like it's just a matter of time before Reinier is almost completely going to be extinct. So that's also why I rate him lower. But as of right now, he is still having usage. Sometimes in the top teams, like even for Blightshroom as an example, if you don't have Indra's Gunnar combo, you're going to run Reinier in the top team. So that's the thing. Okay, moving on to Aurora. Aurora is a hero which everyone got for free, but investing into her exclusive equipment is very valuable because she's actually in the top team for 3 pre-endless Dream on bosses. Summoner Squad really is popping off. And the thing about the Summoner Squad is either you use Ravion as a buffer, sub DPS, or you use Reinier as a debuffer. You don't use Gunnar in a Summoner Squad. So this is the other interesting thing. If you think that Summoners are going to be the new meta if some OP Summoner is released, then maybe Gunnar has less value. But if you think pre-endless is going to remain as a single target nuking down DPS like Sylvan along with Gunnar, then you're going to be in luck. But I think realistically, there are going to be some bosses where Summoner Squad is better, like it is right now, and some bosses where the nuking Gunnar strategy is going to be better. But basically, those are going to cover your bases. Now, moving on to Mehira. Mehira is an endless, basically, Dream Realm damage dealer. However, I don't know, because like for phase 2 of endless, early endless, usually Mehira doesn't have much usage, and I'm thinking most are going to be Gunnar, Sylvan, Aliceth comps. For phase 3 late endless with mythic charms, potentially Mehira is then gonna come online a bit along with Aliceth and other pure HP loss damage dealers. However, I just don't know, like if the meta changes to having like endless Gunnar, Gala, Aliceth, Smokey twins, which it very well could be, then Mehira will not be anywhere to be seen. That being said, for bosses like Blightshroom, where you can't run the twins, Mehira will be used almost definitely. So Mehira is still a solid hero, but I just don't know exactly the state she's in. And she also has great AFK stage usage. Yeah, and investing into her is going to help you in AFK stages. Baelran, he is also an HP loss, endless damage deal. However, again, I'm not sure about his state. In the previous season, he was only best in Magmazar Dream on boss for a period, and then eventually he even was power crept from the top team by Aliceth and Gala, which is sad. And then for Blightshroom, Baelran was always on top because Baelran is able to cast his ultimate because he has great energy recovery. Other allies cannot, and so that's why Baelran will remain on top most likely for Blightshroom. But it depends. Like if I don't know what would happen, but if there's a Gunnar Gala meta for Blightshroom, potentially that you won't even need the Baelran on the team. We'll have to see about that, of course. But Baelran, yeah, he will have his niche usage for Dream Realm, and he's solid in that, and he also has good AFK stage usage, especially if you don't have Saida. If you don't have Saida, Baelran is going to be your go-to hero for AFK stages. Okay, Harak. Now, Harak, I really wanted to make a bold prediction. I really actually wanted to put Harak above Baelran, but then I was like, this may be too crazy. Because the thing about Harak is, I think is going to get a bit of a power surge, power spike, because summoners are meta. Summoners do great with Harak. Harak can devour the summons and then get those stat buffs and not have any loss to the team because they're just going to summon those summons again. Or he can eat the Zany Tower and get his stat buffs, and still you have all of your allies surviving. And so definitely for Necrodraken, Summoner Squad along with Harak, I do think that is going to be meta, maybe even going into Endless. And for Doom Squad, Dream Realm Boss, it is a Summoner Squad. I wouldn't be surprised if there is actually going to be the 3 Summoners, Twins, and Harak in it. I think it's a possibility. I don't know if this is going to be the case, of course. This is just a prediction. But I think Harak is power spiking a bit thanks to the Summoners. Otherwise, Harak was on the verge of extinction. And then we have Phraesto, who has that niche usage in Dream Realm occasionally. He's an HP loss damage dealer. Sometimes for Endless, he's in budget teams. But it's basically, that is it for Phraesto. Okay, so Dream Realm is all covered. I'm happy with all we went through. Now we're going to move on to pure AFK stages. So the queen of AFK stages, which I think no one is surprised about, is Saida. If you want to push AFK stages, high deficit, you maybe want to be the #1 rank in your server, #1 rank in your district, you need to build Saida. That is essential. She is a must-have for those hard pushes in AFK stages. Alna is going to be the second best hero, basically, Celestial Hypogean to build for AFK stages because Alna pairs very well with Saida. But there's no sense in building Alna if you do not have Saida. There is sense for PvP. Alna is a beast in PvP. However, for AFK stages, Saida is needed. And then if you have Saida already built, Alna is one of the best allies for Saida, providing that additional protection, allowing you to clear some of those more difficult stages. So that is why Alna is second here for AFK stages. And conveniently enough, both Alna and Saida are absolute monsters in PvP as well. So like, if you invest in them for AFK stages, you're also really buffing your PvP performance for regular arena and Supreme Arena. And then we have Kulu. Kulu is a hero which is good in AFK stages and definitely has a lot of usage along with Saida. Now, Saida, Alna together, you're going to see Kulu as a third in a lot of record formations because Kulu provides that protection, allows Saida to jump into the enemy line, and Kulu is protecting basically your other allies if you have Kulu fully built up, like to Mythic Plus or Supreme Plus, because Supreme Plus, it gives that range defense buff to those allies. That is really important for some really high level stages to keep your Valara alive, your Hypogean alive, whoever's in the back. And so that is why she has that AFK stage usage. She's also good in PvP. And then we have the pure PvP heroes. Dunlingr is still, even though he has been out for, a year and a half or maybe more than that, he's still an absolute legend for PvP, locking down the enemy, preventing them from ultimating. That is huge utility, and you could slot it into basically any one of your PvP teams effectively, especially on your teams that don't have ultimate reliant heroes, or if they only have one ultimate reliant, then he will freely allow them to cast their ultimate. Athalia is a hero which is a great assassin for PvP. She also has long-term value in a PvP fight because even after dying, she will remain on the battlefield as long as you have other surviving allies. So for that reason, she's great with Saida, who is very difficult and resilient. Difficult to kill and resilient. Athalia has very niche usage in AFK stages. Before those stages, she will usually need to be ascended like up to Supreme Plus. Not always. Sometimes it can be done with lower. However, yeah, she does have some difficult stages where Athalia is really important. Yeah, so if you are that #1 rank in your district, you are always gunning for cutting edge AFK stage pushing. You will need to have Athalia built to Supreme Plus, just like you need Kulu, Gunnar, Mehira, Baelran, Saida, Alna, yeah, you name it. Basically, all of the AFK stage heroes, you will need to have a Supreme Plus if you want to be cutting edge pusher. And then we have the Cryonaia. Cryonaia is going to be the best hyper carry damage dealer for PvP because she can eliminate those really difficult to kill threats such as Athalia, Saida, and just knock them out. And now more than ever, with support from Gunnar, with invincibility from Alna, that is really good protection. You can use either one of these options and basically keep your Cryonaia safe, even wait out an enemy Dunlingr ultimate if need be, and then Cryonaia will be able to go off and nuke the enemy team. So Cryonaia, very effective. Now we move on to the skip tier. These are just unfortunately heroes which are not usable enough to ever warrant building them in the current state. So Talene is a hero which has some PvP usage, but honestly, she has really fallen off because they're just gonna be better options than her. In the past, she was sometimes used in Bonnie or Citrana damage over time teams. And for that, she was fine. She was reasonably effective for that. However, nowadays, with all the new heroes we have, especially your regular faction heroes, your Paragon upgrading them, it just doesn't make sense for you to run Talene. Also, if you're thinking about Talene's ultimate as a damage source, it's just way too slow. That will generally never happen in a PvP match, and she just keeps repeatedly dying, not really doing much. Then you have Scarlita. Scarlita can work in a stall team for PvP, and she does that pretty effectively. However, in terms of her actual kill threat, it's very low, because easily after dropping down, she can be interfered with, she can be crowd controlled, she can be just killed before she actually goes for her wombo combo. That is the unfortunate thing. If she had an insta ult after landing, like literally unaffected insta ult, that would be another story. But that is not the case. She can easily be interrupted, and you guys have probably seen that whenever you're facing an enemy Scarlita in AFK stages. And then we have Dionel, who is a hyper carry. He is a fine hyper carry, however, he is not on par with Cryonaia. And the thing is, you can't really have two hyper carries and have two dedicated hyper carry comps in PvP, because they're going to be using the same buffers, same supporters, same protectors, and so like having both of them, it's possible. Definitely you can make one down team, one Cryonaia team. However, even then, Dionel is not on par with Cryonaia. Cryonaia can delete those resilient enemies. Dionel cannot exactly. And Dionel usually, after his ultimate, is very susceptible to dying. And And then we have Berial. Berial is a hero which is literally living in the shadows. The most irrelevant celestial Hypogean in the game. The hero you have never seen probably at all. Like, I've been playing this game for 2 years, just about. Well, I guess not exactly yet, but almost 2 years. And Berial, I don't even remember the last time I've actually seen him. He is not useful in PvP. He is not useful in AFK stages. He is not useful in Dream Realm. He's not even useful in Ravage Realm. Like, you will just not see him at all. He's the hero that is in the most desperate need of a Supreme Plus skill upgrade, but at the same time, I don't know what they could put on that skill that would actually make him meta, because of how far away he is from being relevant. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully it is helpful. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And just a final note about Contess, because everyone does want to talk about that. She is most likely going to be a Hypogean support. She is most likely going to be the third Celestial Hypogean of this season, which we don't know when we're going to receive. It could be in Phase 3, or it could be in the 4th patch of this season, which will be like, 20 days after the launch of Phase 3. Like we had Alna. Alna was a delayed hero as a third Celestial Hypogean because we had a collab banner, and this season we're also having a collab banner, and after that we could be having Contess. Now the question is it better for you just to wait and save your resources until Contess's reveal? I think that is a very smart decision. It's no way going to be wrong for you to wait and see for Contess. But at the same time, if you have the resources to take your Gunnar to plus 15 exclusive equipment Supreme Ascension, I think you can safely do that, because even if Contess is massively meta, I think that is not going to mean that Gunnar will not be a must pull. And as of right now, Gunnar is leaning towards a must pull status. He is very strong. Of course, you can wait for his endless usage. You can wait for Contest to be sure. And that is the smartest decision, and what I would recommend, especially for cautious players out there. But at the same time, if you just want to build a solid hero right now, Gunnar is it. Gunnar is a solid hero to be building. You're going to get value from him. He's also really good for AFK stages and very good for PvP. So he is kind of a jack of all trades, and he really is doing big work in Dream Realm right now, especially if you have Sylvan and Cassidy built. And when we move into early Endless, if you have Sylvan and Aliceth built, you won't need Cassidy anymore, thankfully, but you'll need Aliceth at that point, maybe some other options, but yeah, Aliceth is going to be great. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. That's going to be it for this video. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment, and you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.